are going to start off with just getting grounded on SAP's Outlook. The ability for companies to really understand their leverage with SAP and what they mean to SAP is critical. The next thing that we're going to talk about is SAP sales strategy, and this is going to be kind of the heart of what we're going to talk about today. Above and beyond pricing and benchmarking, I think the real thing that clients want to hear from us is, what is SAP's approach? What is their approach in specific types of events that are being driven? And we're going to review those today. And there's 4 primary ones that we're going to focus on. Chip and Mike will take you through. And then lastly, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that we've observed our clients and the customer base in general have potentially struggled with. And then some recommendations on how you would drive kind of effective outcomes. There's 3 things that I would suggest as a takeaway from this particular slide to focus on. The first one is SAP's priority within the core and in the cloud. And the thing that I would say relative to the core, and what I'm referring to there is specifically, is SAP's software license revenue trajectory. The other thing that I would say of SAP is prioritized is their margins. And they're specifically made some statements in the earnings announcement from Q1, which they focused on the private cloud and specifically the margins in the private cloud. So let me talk a little bit about the event-driven sales strategy. And what we've decided to do today is focus on 4. And what Mike and Chip are going to take you through is the playbooks that we've observed SAP employ on these 4 dimensions.
Lastly, what you want to do is make sure you've got alignment internally. So it's not just making sure people are aligned on the product. It's making sure they're aligned on the strategy as it relates to how you're going to define your requirements, who's going to work with you through that process, how you're going to engage with the suppliers and the vendors, and most importantly, when you're going to get to end a job to deploy that capability.
So maybe, Mike, we can turn it over to you and you can talk about ECC to S4.
Based on those previous 3 strategy items, you're going to want to develop your actual strategy. And you're going to want to leverage the point in time where you're going to have the biggest purchase with SAP, when you have commercial terms in your back pocket and your audit risk is low.
Chip, why don't we turn it over to you? You could talk about some of the M&A activity and what we're seeing there.
Sure. Again, one of the events that SAP will take advantage of in moving folks towards S4 are mergers, acquisitions, divestitures, those major change events that happen with all organizations that are dynamic. And in many cases, where customers are coming from is a perspective of saying, look, we're going to be having synergies, we're going to save costs, we're going to become more efficient, more nimble, and so on and so forth. So what can you do? Use SAP's attempts to inappropriately exploit your M&A activity and elevate that through your organization.
Great. I think, Mike, we'll turn it over to you on the audit side of the equation.
So what can you do? We look at kind of audits and all negotiations as an opportunity, and this is really an opportunity to cover future audits, so you can negotiate specific audit provisions as well as commercial protections for the future.
What we're seeing here is kind of just a reflection of what we believe we've seen our customers struggle with the most. What do we think can be an effective outcome? And I think this applies across the 4 scenarios that Chip and Mike outlined. And the last thing that I'd leave you with here is just an effective decision-making approach. And then that's really kind of the heart of what we try to do here as we're advising our clients.